I'm Bushcraft Boy. Today I'm doing a more detailed video than usual about some stoves that don't use gas. Some use paraffin, some use meths, and some use gel or solid blocks, and some use wood. If you're bushcrafting or hiking, there are lots of different stoves available. Some are heavier than others, some are hotter than others, and I'm going to look at each one separately. As for the decision, that's up to you. So then first we are going to look at a paraffin stove. This is a typical little paraffin stove. Its main fuel is paraffin, obviously, but you also need some meths to go with it. These camping versions often have detachable pot support and folding legs. These kits should carry a tool to keep the burner holes clear and assemble the stove. So if you're buying off somewhere like eBay, make sure you've got all the right tools like a spanner. These stoves work really well. They burn really hot and, if looked after, can last for years. Maintenance is easy. All you need to do is clean it and replace some of the rubber seals sometimes. They've been around for about 130 odd years, and some of the original ones are still going. To use this stove, you need to fill it about 2/3 full of paraffin, or kerosene as the Americans call it. Put about 1 cc of meths into the little bowl, then light the meths. The meths need to burn for about 20 or 30 seconds in order to heat up this part of the stove. Be careful, especially outside, because you can't see the flames when meths is burning. We need to preheat the top section because paraffin does not burn well when cold. Once this top section is hot enough, then you need to use this pump to pump the paraffin through to the burner. The advantage of this stove is that it is really reliable and can burn at almost the same heat as a gas stove. The downside to this stove is that you need to carry 2 fuels, meths and paraffin. If you don't maintain this stove, or one of the seals is gone, then this stove will not work properly. This is a very reliable stove, but it is not the lightest option. The stoves themselves can be quite heavy because they're often made of brass, and you also have to carry 2 liquid fuels. We are now going to look at a meths or alcohol stove. This is a very simple little stove. It's cheap to buy, cheap to run, and very little can go wrong with it. The way that it works is you pour meths in here. The stove has 2 walls and an absorbent material between them. When you first pour meths in, it seems as if it dissolves away to nowhere. Actually, it's being absorbed in between the 2 walls. You can light this easily with a match, a lighter, or a fire steel, more commonly known as a ferro rod. Meths vapour comes out through the small set of holes around the top of the stove, which lights really well. By by placing a simmer ring on top. You can even adjust the amount of heat the stove gives off. For £2 or £3, you can even get one with its own pot stand like we've got. This particular pot stand can be adjusted to take cups and pots of different sizes. For size comparison, this is a 16cm zebra billy can. This stove's biggest drawback is its lack of protection from the wind. A very kind friend of mine sent me this windshield, which is absolutely ideal for this stove. This windshield not only keeps the wind off your flame, it also directs the heat back into your pot. The only downsides to this stove are that you need methylated spirit, which needs to be kept safe. This stove can get very hot, so wait until it's cooled down before you put the lid back on, or it will damage the rubber O-ring. I'm not going to show you how to use this Swedish Army mess kit, as I've already done a couple of videos on it, but it is the sort of stove you would use with this kit. Now we've looked at all the liquid-fueled stoves, let's look at some of the solid-fueled stoves that don't use wood. On the right we have a very popular system, the Crusader cook set, and on the left a little hexi burner. To start off with, we'll look at the Crusader cook set. These are popular because you've got a cup, a water bottle, a cook pot and a stove. And if you want, you can also use the cooking pot as a cup. This system works by putting a solid fuel block, a bit like a fire lighter, into the stove. Once this is lit, you can put a little vest over the top of it, like this. The pot itself has measurement markings on the front, so you can tell how much is in there. If you want, you can have a small lid to trap some of the heat in, or fit a small pot hanger to hang it over the fire. This system is very limited on the types of pot you use, but for one person it is a very good all-rounder. Because there are 2 cups, at a push, this system could be used by 2 people. This next system is probably the simplest of the lot, and almost certainly the lightest. This stove opens to take pot of different sizes. It works, again, by using a solid fuel block. Some of these blocks can be a bit smelly and some can leave a residue on the bottom of your pan. When you consider that the fuel blocks fit inside it, it is a very compact and lightweight stove. Lastly, we are going to look at the 3 main types of small wood burning stove. On the left we've got a hobo stove. In the middle we've got a folding wood burning stove. And on the right we've got a wood gas stove. A hobo stove just means a cheap homemade stove. This one was just made out of a supermarket cutlery holder. The type of fuel for this stove is pine cones, twigs, small bits of wood, just anything that's wood that will burn. With a rectangular hole cut in front, even with a pot on top, you can still feed wood through the base. These are very cheap to make and cheap to run. The downside is that it can take up quite a lot of room in your backpack, so it's best to stuff a few things inside it. If you put tent pegs through the holes, you can support some small pots. Alternatively, you can sit a trangia inside it and use this as a pot stand. These are cheap and easy to make, and they're a bit of fun. If space really is an issue, then you might need to look at a folding wood stove. I like this design because it's got a door which you can feed fuel through, and its shape directs heat to the bottom of the pot. Again, these use small bits of wood, twigs, pine cones, just anything wooden that will burn. Like many wood stoves, this can fit a trangia inside, giving you a few different fuel options. There are lots of other designs you can look at. The honey stove, the firebox, the pocket cooker, the list goes on forever. It doesn't matter which one you choose, just as long as you're comfortable using it, it's fine. And lastly, if you've watched some of my other videos, you will recognise this as the wood gas stove. I'm not going to go into too much detail about this fantastic little stove, but if there isn't much wood around, this is the most efficient type of stove you will get. That is a quick overview of a few types of stove. There is no best stove, it's just which one you're comfortable with and which environment suits it. So let's say I go to Dartmoor. There's lots of heather and bracken, but not many trees and not much wood lying around. So a wood burning stove would not be the best option. On the other hand, if there's plenty of wood available, then they are ideal. All the other stoves, whether liquid or solid fueled, will not find their fuels in the local environment. That means you have to carry it. That's extra weight. I hope this has given you a fair few tips on different stoves for different environments. I'm Bushcraft Boy. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. I've got quite a few more videos to come, so watch out for them. If you've subscribed, you'll know automatically. Anyway, it's time to end this video. Bye! Thank you for watching.